Hello and welcome back everyone. Today we'll talk about the column and filter options in Microsoft Excel. The file that we are working on is called Pivot, Columns and Filters, attached to this module. So the file that I've opened, like I mentioned, is Pivot, Columns and Filter. And we are in the tab Employee Data. This is the same data that we were previously working on. So what we're going to do is we'll start by creating a pivot. We'll go to the Insert tab, Pivot Table. On an existing worksheet, we'll select the table range, go to Sheet 4, and just below the previous data, we'll just select a cell, enter. And here we have the pivot. Till now, what we have used the rows and the value options. We'll see how the columns work. When you drag your data to the rows, you would notice that your data comes towards the left-hand side. When you drag your data towards the column, it goes towards the top of your data. And we'll just do that. So for example, we have the sub-department. We'll drag that in the column. And you see, when you drag your data to the columns, your data comes on the top. Likewise, if I drag the sub-department to the values here, you see the count of sub-department is now showing down. So your rows and columns have a similar function. The only difference is your column spreads your data towards the column, and your rows spreads your data on the rows. Now what we have not done till now is we have not used a combination of your columns and your rows, and we'll do that. So for example, we'll take the department, we'll drag that to the rows. And what we have is we have the departments on the rows, we have the sub-departments in the columns, and our data is the count of sub-department. So here you see the finance team, the accounts management, there are 52 people. The ADC, which is a part of your technical team, has 5 people. So this way, we can actually see a lot of data in the pivot table itself. We can even have your salaries. For example, I'll remove the values, the count of sub-department, and we'll just look at your salaries here. Your yearly salary, we'll click on that and we'll drag that to the values. And you can see here the yearly salary of the departments as well. And at the end, you see a total, right hand side, as well as on the bottom, you see a total. So this is how we use your column and the rows in combination. In the column here, one thing for us to note is you'll see a small drop down. And on the drop down, this acts like a small filter within the columns itself. And you can see if you want to see a particular team. For example, if you just want to see ADC team, we can see that. If you want to see just 2 or 3 data, we can select the data and we can see our data. Likewise, in the row as well, click on the drop down and the team that you would like to focus on, all of those things are possible within a pivot itself. Now that we have the data, we see our entire data is now possible for us to view. Now we'll see how we can use the filter option in Microsoft Excel. So for that, we'll go back to your employee data once again. We'll create a new pivot. Existing worksheet. Select the cell you want your data to appear and OK. So here you see what we have is the pivot created. Here what we'll do is we'll drag the status of the employees on the filter. All right, so you can see the status here. And we'll look at your departments. So your department here, and we look at the salary. the monthly salary is what we have done in the values. So you see, when you have your filter option stays on the top, and the column that we have chosen is your status, so we can see that. And here you see the option selected is all. When you click on the drop down there, we have the option for your active or your inactive employees. If you untick inactive and you want to see the data only of the active employees, here we have it. This is the data for the inactive employees. Likewise, if you want to see the data of the active employees, we can untick inactive, and here we have only the active employees. Likewise, we can have multiple filters there. We can even look at the department, the sub-department. If I drag it to the filters here, you can see I have another filter here which says the sub-department, and here we can select the teams that we want to focus on. You can choose more than one. Click outside the box, and here we have multiple selections where we have selected your creative, your environmental compliance and environmental health. Okay. However, we just have 2 data points, and the reason why that is because we have those 2 data points here. So this is how we actually go about breaking down your data, and your filter option actually helps you see only one part of the data. So even though on your pivot you have all your data, your filter options helps you analyze your data much better. This way you can use a lot of options here. We'll just try create another filter as well. Go back to your employee data, insert a pivot table, existing sheet once again, sheet 4, select a data point. Okay, and here what we'll try and do is we'll try and filter the employees based on the zones they belong to. So the zone we've selected, put that on the filters. We'll select the sub-department here, and we'll get the employee count as well. So here you see we have the filter option, the zone, and all the sub-departments here. What we can do is I want to see the employees of the south, and here we have the employees of the south, the west and south, Midwest. So all of those things are possible. You can clear your filter as well, and now all your data is available. Like the way we used the zone on the filter, we can move the zones to the column as well. And here in the column, you see exactly which department, how many people belong to those. So this is how we go about using the filter and the column tab on the pivot table. To spend some time using it, this helps you analyze your data and make your decisions more concrete when it comes to making the right decisions. To spend some time, I will see you in the next class. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.